Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. We all face difficulties in life. We face difficulties in praying, difficulties in relating to other people. They're just a host of difficulties that each day presents to us. And the key to dealing with difficulties is to accept them and not fight them. And so part of our will is not to force things to happen, but to open ourselves and give consent to what is happening around us. Because when we accept things, we begin to see them differently. We see nuances and opportunities that were present or that are present. When we're resisting, we don't see those things. And so we often try to control things through effort and through force. But forcing our will usually strengthens the false self. It makes the ego bigger and stronger. This doesn't mean we never make an effort. In the beginning, we do need to work at letting go of selfish patterns. But as we grow spiritually, something begins to change. The will becomes less about doing and more about saying yes to God. The more we allow God to act and the less we try to control, the deeper prayer becomes. When entering centering prayer and we are faced with repetitive thoughts, we often go to the sacred word. And it can feel like we're repeating this word over and over again. Perhaps it is better to think of it as gently returning to God. Gently coming in and softly being aware of God's presence. The word is just a symbol of our willingness to consent to God's presence. Since God is already present, we don't need to reach out and grasp Him. Over time, even the sacred word falls away, and the will begins to rest in simple, quiet consent without needing any symbol. This kind of prayer is real work, but it is the work of receiving. And receiving is actually one of the hardest things to do. The main task in centering prayer or contemplative prayer is to receive God. As this prayer deepens, we begin to open ourselves to God in every direction. This is surrender, an even deeper form of consent. Transformation itself is entirely God's work. We cannot make it happen. We can only block it. As prayer becomes more natural, a quiet, peaceful presence may begin to settle within us. Some people experience this as a sense that God is living inside of them. This calm presence then becomes their way of praying. At the beginning, we bring our expectations and our ideas into prayer. It's part of our false self. And that's why we avoid talking about effort, because we tend to think effort means striving to achieve something. But contemplative prayer is not about achieving. It is about being open and receptive. And receptivity is not laziness. It is an active, alert waiting. It's like waiting for a mystery you cannot understand. You don't know what will come, and you accept that you cannot know it through your own abilities. This prayer is a journey into the unknown. This is one of the hardest things to do, and it cannot be forced. Only God can bring the false self to an end. The false self is really an illusion, our mistaken idea of who we are. Jesus taught that whoever loses their life for his sake will gain it. Following him means letting go of the self we cling to. Jesus himself went to the cross surrendering everything. For Christians, union with Christ leads to union with God. The spiritual journey begins with dismantling the false self, and this shows our sincerity. And then God takes over the deeper work, revealing our hidden selfishness and inviting us to let that go. When we agree, he replaces it with his own love, character, and spirit within us. In life, there are natural crisis points like adolescence or early adulthood. Similarly, in the spiritual life, there are moments of crisis when we are invited to grow to a deeper level. At these times, we often cling tightly to our old ways, the false self. If we resist growth, we can fall backward. But if we trust the process, we move forward. Jesus often trained his followers through these kinds of challenges. A good example is the Canaanite woman. When she asked Jesus to heal her daughter, he seemed to ignore her and spoke harshly. But she responded with deep humility and faith, saying that even the crumbs from the table would be enough. Jesus was not rejecting her. He was drawing out a deeper faith. In the end, he praised her and granted her request. In the same way, we might experience silence or what feels like rejection in prayer. Some people feel that God is not answering them. But in a deep sense, God may be answering the greatest prayer of all, the prayer to be transformed, the prayer to move into a greater Christ-likeness. And so, let us just be still and breathe deeply. And when you are ready, simply begin with your sacred word and allow yourself to consent to the action and the presence of God within you today. And stay here for as long as you like.